So can you guys hear me okay? Welcome back to Badass Conjure. So welcome Rose Little, Angela, and the third person in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me okay, or do I need to lower my music? Okay, so you can hear me okay? Okay. So I'm going to try to make this quick, y'all, because I've had a long day. I'm tired, but I know that I was supposed to come back yesterday, and I just keep, you know, I'm not complaining, because the things that are coming my way are things that I asked for, and so I'm not complaining. But they were not things that I had necessarily planned for. Okay, so I want to talk about why you're not a victim, and this is why we're not speaking victim language in the group. Okay, and so we're not, you know, there's no victims over here. You are, however, survivors. You have survived, like I said, depending upon you know, how intimately you have been entangled with a narcissist, whether they've been a parent or, you know, a spouse or whatever they've been in your life. Depending upon the level of intimacy of that particular relationship, you know, there's a level of damage that has been done. Now, what I want to talk about is that when I speak of the word healing and, you know, the damage, like I said, at the core, you are still who you know, started out as. You cannot be damaged at your core. However, most people, the majority of people, are not looking at their lives from that perspective. Most people are looking at their lives from the perspective of the person who was born into this life and maybe has been probably born into a family of narcissists.
And so you were, as a child, maybe victimized by a narc parent. And so, you know, it's very understandable how in such a situation you could definitely see yourself as a victim. If you're a child and you're being attacked by your adult parent, there are so many implications there. There's so many layers of um, psychological and emotional, um, you know, manipulation there, that it's very understandable to see why one would see themselves as a victim. Even, growing up as a teenager, having a narc parent, being a young girl with a narcissist mother, being a woman, especially a woman who is very gentle natured, being with a narcissist husband or mate who you really had, if you didn't know what to look for as far as a narcissist, there was no way to to know who this person was without actually getting to know who this person was. So being bullied and being abused verbally and intimidated and physically, or whatever ways that you've been abused by the narc, it's very understandable why you would be able to see yourself as a victim. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in the group is basically, I want to define, what the healing is going to entail, because it's much simpler than a lot of people think. Because again, at the very core, you have not been um, altered at all. Okay, so all healing basically entails is a shift, for you to ascend from the lower vibrating self, from your lower self, back up to being your highest self. So it's just an ascension from your lower self, okay, to where you're feeling all these lower vibratory feelings and having these lower vibratory experiences. When you shift from that lower perspective of your lower self, from the perspective of your lower self, into the perspective of your higher self, um, then there is a renewing of your mind. And all that is required for you to heal is for that renewing of your mind to take place. And so that's what we're going to be doing here in the group. So when we speak of healing, we're simply acknowledging that we have survived something that most people would not have been able to survive. Okay, and that there needs to be a shift now, because dealing with these lower vibratory entities, you have indeed been pulled into the lower realms where you are very uncomfortable, because it's not where you belong. When in the group, we're going to talk more about the purpose for you coming into these realms, because there is a purpose and all of that. But I want to stay focused, basically, to, that you have been pulled into these lower realms in your efforts to try to love a lower vibratory entity. Okay. And so I don't want you to blame yourself for trying to love these people, okay? Because the average narcissistic person would love for you to believe that you are stupid for trying to love, someone who is, so empty and is not able to reciprocate, okay? But this is why you want to congregate with people of like light. Okay, because you cannot expect most of the world who are narcissistic in nature to understand the ways in which you move. Okay, so this is why it is imperative to congregate with people of like light, and to reel your halo in and only share it with those who are able to benefit from it. Otherwise, you will be nothing but judged and then attacked. Okay. So what the healing entails is a renewing of the mind, okay? Which, hey, I'm Grandmaster Fee. Welcome to the 5 people in the chat. So basically, the healing just entails a movement, a shift in perspective from the perspective of your lower self to your higher self. This can happen instantaneously. However, a lot of times it does not happen instantaneously because of the, if you, depending again upon the level of intimacy of the relationship that you've had with your narcissist, your mind is twisted, in so many different ways that it does take time to unravel a lot of things. Okay, but it is simply a twist. I'm sorry, a shift in perspective. Okay, from your lower self to your higher self, and basically accumulating in a renewing of your mind. Okay, because what we need to understand, and the reason why you are not a victim, is because, of course, what happened to you happened to you. And of course, the narcissist did what the narcissist did. And the narcissist will be held accountable for what they've done. Okay, but there's levels to this shit. Okay, the reason why you're not a victim, and the reason why you're going to feel so much better once you realize that this has been a choice. Okay, and so it's empowering to understand that, um, you know, what has happened to you did happen, and they did do what they did. They did play their role. But the shift in perspective and the perception correction here that has to happen, so that you don't feel like a victim, like all of this is just happening to me. These people are just doing things to me. Because at some level, it has been a choice. Whether it was a conscious choice, that is questionable. But you do, even acknowledging that it was a choice, whether it was conscious or subconscious, the power and the empowerment is going to come from acknowledging first that it was a choice that you made. Okay, you chose this person. Okay, unless of course you were sold into the marriage or some uncanny event. This was a person that you chose. Okay, so what we do is we turn that mirror around on the self, because there is much healing there. Okay, the healing is not in um, projecting. Okay, because the lesson at the end of the day, everything that you go through in this life, everything is between you and whatever you, that which you call God. If you think that you yourself is God, you're not wrong about that, because God is within you, and there is no separation between you and God. So this is where you go for your guidance, and this is where your source resides. Okay, but take it out of the ego, but internalize whatever it is that you call God. Internalize that. Okay, if you don't call it God, whatever you call it, prime creator, the most high, or whatever specific name that you use to invoke that power, internalize that. Okay, which is why we turn the mirror on the self, and we examine ourself, we examine our choices. And it's very important that we examine our own expectations of other people. We go to the root of it, and we ask ourselves, where did we learn that our expectations are correct, are the truth, are what should be true for everyone that we come into contact with? Our expectations of other people need to be examined, and our own behaviors and our own choices and decisions. Again, this is not about judging the self, but it is about honestly evaluating the self, and it is about having the ultimate goal of correcting your perception, so that your mind is renewed, so that you do ascend from your lower self into your higher self. This is what I call healing, my people. So I want you to think about what's being said here, because, we can go through, because we are, and the reason why we're going to talk about our stories is because I do not want you to be in denial that this has happened. But it's not something that just happened to you. It's something that you've gone through, but you were at some point a willing participant. Okay. And even on the level of when you came into this life, and I'll use some of my own personal stories in the group to help you understand how I understand even the karmic implications of it when you come into and you're born into a family that is narcissistic in nature, and you're born an empath into in a narcissistic family. Um, at some level, you still have made a choice. Okay, and I'll help you understand that for the people who come into the group, because you will be the ones that I know who actually, need this information. But you are not a victim. Okay, so acknowledge the choices and decisions that you made. If you have to trace your steps all the way back to the day that you met this person, to the red flags that you ignored. And again, this is not about judging the self. This is not about beating yourself up. This is just about becoming fully aware that your choices led you down this path where you encountered the devil incarnate. And the reason why we're going to do that is so that we can begin to retrace our steps to back up. Okay, but if you don't take that power into your own hands, if you don't take accountability for your own role that you've played in landing yourself on a road where you would encounter the devil incarnate, then you cannot be empowered to be the one to actually lead yourself out of that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. There are no victims. You're not a victim. Okay, so there's something within the self, because this is what I know. You could not attract such a person. Okay, these people are attracted to you because of your light, but they would not even be able to have gotten this close to you if there was not an inkling of something that is within them that resonates, that is within you. And this is what we need to examine. Okay, because none of us are perfect. And again, this is not about judging yourself. It's not at all. It's about honestly examining yourself. Because if you do judge yourself, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have to forgive yourself before you can get to the next level. So this is not about judgment or feeling bad or guilty about the choices that you've made, but it is about being fully aware of the choices that you made so that you can empower yourself by understanding that you got yourself here ultimately by your own choices and decisions. And ultimately, it will be your own choices and decisions that lead you out. Okay, let me read some of your comments. But the narcs, they are pure evil. But let me say this: we cannot remove ourselves from the equation, because we can talk about and we have talked about, and we will continue to talk about, you know, um, what they've done to us, and what we've been through and the effects that it has had, because it has had an effect. That is something that you cannot deny, because if you begin to deny your own emotions and your own experiences, then you're turning into a narcissist yourself. This is what they do. They deny that they have feelings. They deny that they are damaged, so they appear to be damaged beyond repair. But that's not the point. The point is, we have to acknowledge our own and hold ourselves accountable for making the choices, whether it was because, again, it's not about who's to blame. It's about being aware of how you got on the road. How did you end up on a road where you are in face to face with the devil? Because we have to understand that those laws, the universal laws, are still in place. Okay, so you attract that which you are, which means there is something in you that resonates with that narcissist. And this we cannot be in denial of, because if you deny this, then you're this is where your power is going to lie, when you understand that whether it was conscious or subconscious, it was a choice. It was a choice. And so when we realize that it was a choice, then you understand that it will be your own choices and your own decision to end this cycle of insanity that will get you out. You have to be empowered to do this. Okay, you cannot keep looking for the power to make these decisions and these changes in your life. You cannot keep placing that power outside of yourself, and you cannot keep waiting for something outside of yourself to come and save you. I told y'all, if you do not go within, you will go without. That means you will go without that divine guidance, that divine protection, that divine provision that you're going to need on your road going forward. It is all your creator source, your creator God, the spark of God that is still the part of you that is still connected to your creator is within you. So which means that meditation and sitting still and introspection and honest self-evaluation is going to be essential going forward. So we can, of course, we can look at what the narc did, and I don't, I'm not disagreeing at all. They are pure evil. Again, they are the devil incarnate. But how, empath, did they appear in your world? Okay, because we always want to examine the self much harder than we examine anyone else, because we have to claim the immutable truth that you are the creator of your world, and everything in your world you drew to yourself. It's there for a reason. And so we have to begin to examine and look a little bit deeper and go to the root of these weeds we keep trying to pull up. We have to pull them up at the root. And everything in your world is rooted in you. So accepting that accountability first is the very first thing that you have to do to differentiate yourself from you and the narcissist. All narcs show goodness, Angela. They all show goodness, because at some level they are they're still human at some level, and then some of them are just very they're excellent actors and actresses. Okay, so all narcs show goodness, because if they were the devil all the time, they would not be able to hold their supply. Okay, this is how they get you. They love bomb you. They will buy you things. I mean, my narcs, they're very generous, and this is how they get you in. You think you have your soulmate. You think they love you because they know exactly. For one, they study you. When they're getting to know you, they study what you like, and what makes you happy, and they study everything about you so that they know what to become in order to be what you think that you need. And it's all an act, which is why, all it would take, like I said, that's the love bombing phase, that's a hoovering phase, and it's all an act. Okay, and I know it feels real because they have perfected it. Okay, it feels so real, and I'm not going to completely negate that it's never is real, but the ways that they can switch up on you, and the cruel and just demonic things that they're capable of doing to someone that they claim to care for and to love, their actions say the exact opposite. Their actions will say that they hate you. If in fact if you ever cause a narcissistic injury to them, you will see the truth of who they are, because the way that you know whether they love you or not is, when somebody loves you and you love somebody, you can get mad, you can have arguments, it could be your sister, brother, whatever, whoever you love, you have arguments, you have disagreements, and say it's cold outside or it's raining, and you're mad at your brother, you're mad at your husband, you're mad at somebody, but you still love them. And it's raining and it's 20 degrees outside, and you're the one with the umbrella. Even though you mad, and you still don't want them to be, cold, or you still don't want them to be, getting wet or whatever. So you still gonna share the umbrella with them, even though you don't like them. So you gonna, I'm gonna share it with you, but I'm mad, and so I ain't talking to your ass, and I'm not looking in your direction. A narc, they don't care if they're angry at you for whatever reason. This is when you see the truth of who they are. Okay, because anybody can act nice when they first meet you. Anybody you meet, they're going to show you their representative, that fake person that seems to be pleasant and attractive and personable. Everybody gets that when you first meet someone. So the narc, this is how they reel you in, and this is how they trap you, because they manipulate you into falling in love with that false person, That's the whole myth of Narcissus. The Greek myth Narcissus is, you know, he was standing by the lake or a pool or something, and he saw his reflection in the water, and he fell in love with the reflection. And then somebody, I don't know what happened, but he found out that the reflection wasn't real, and so he killed himself. So he was in love with a false image of himself. And this is what a narcissist is bringing to you when they're bringing to you that nice character. It's not truly who they are. Let me read some of this. Yeah, it does make you feel like you're a victim, but like I said, and it's completely understandable. But like I said, the only thing that's needed in order to move from the perspective of being a victim, you know, to being a survivor of something, because you know, you're not going to ever deny what you've been through or what they've done or how evil they are. But what we're going to do is empower yourself to get yourself out by acknowledging that you got yourself in. Okay, by your own choices, your own decisions. Because even after they showed you, you know, it's not like they haven't done this over and over and over and over again. So at some point, you know exactly what you're dealing with when you go back. Okay, so at some point, you're going to have to make another choice if you want something different to happen, or you're being sucked into, again, their world of insanity, because that's exactly what repetition, continuously repeating the same action and expecting a different outcome, it's not going to happen, and they're not going to change. They are insane, and this is what they do. Anyone who has spent any amount of time with a narcissist, they teeter between love and hate. They teeter between that. So the nice part of the narc is normal, because that's the part they get to hold their supply. Okay, and then, you know, once they feel like you're comfortable and you're not really going to go anywhere, you're going to, you know, try to make you're in it for the long run, you're committed. This is when the mask falls off. This is why I speak of them having a mask. Let me read this a little. Let me see what y'all talking about. I accept full accountability. Rose Little, yes, we have to. We've been through hell, but I'm gonna help y'all understand if you don't fully understand, because there is a purpose for it, you guys. There is, and I really do want to do. I wish that I could do the long suffering video on YouTube, but I'm not. I really can't, because, like I said, the narcs are everywhere, and they love. You know, I'm not going to subject anyone's, you know, information to these damn vultures out here, because for one, I'm not even going to go into it, but, you know, there's a reason why, and we'll talk about it in the group, you guys. So you know, even for the people who are not able to join the group right now, if you're able to come later, the videos will be there. Okay, because what I did, well, y'all, you can, once you come on over to, you know, join us on Patreon, I'll give you guys some more information. But you know, there's a reason why I'm not going to do that on YouTube. Okay, and there's a reason why I made the group private. Okay, but I do want you guys to understand that you're not victims. Just because you're upset about what has happened, because that's the part, okay, and that's the part that we're going to ascend away from, because all of those things exist on a lower in our lower selves. And so, you know, again, we can ascend from the lower self to the higher self, and look at the exact same things that we've been through from a different perspective. Okay, from a different perspective, and let it have a different effect. Okay, well, you'll be able to reach back and get other people. You'll be able to go and fish for those people who are lost in their own illusions and delusions, and who have been drawn into the insane worlds of the narcissists in their lives. Okay, but it's a simple shift from your lower self to your higher self, and a simple renewing of the mind. Okay, that's all that is required to consider yourself healed. Okay, so we have to learn what we're going to do, and it does take steps, and it does take time. Okay, but the first thing we have to acknowledge is that healing is needed. Okay, but it's not like because you're broken. You know what I'm saying? It's not because you're broken. It's because your perception needs to be corrected, and you need to remember who you are. That's all. When you came into contact with these lower vibrating entities, you fell. You fell from the higher realms, from your higher self, into these lower realms. Okay. And so you believe yourself to be that person who is a victim of these demonic beings. Okay. And on that level, and from the perspective of your lower self, you have been a victim. Okay. But the shift in perception will show you that you have not been a victim. You're not a victim. Okay. It's just a matter of perception, correction, and a renewing of the mind. Okay. And being able to let go of what happened, because it's not like you're going to let go without your healing, without your validation. You're not going to have to let go without that. You're going to be able to let go because you're going to realize that that reality ain't even real. Okay. It's not going to be real to you once you shift back up to where you actually came from, and to realize why you allowed yourself to fall, why you were allowed to fall into this realm. Okay. Which is going to be part of the long suffering video. There is a reason. Okay. I told you your creator God is not cruel, and it's not just allowing bad things to happen to you for no reason. There is good reason, and it's always for the benefit of the growth of your soul. Just because you're upset does not mean that it doesn't mean that you're right in your perception. I promise you that your perception needs to be corrected, and it will be if we continue along the path that you guys have begun to walk on. That's all that is needed to renew your mind and for you to consider yourself healed. It's not as difficult as it seems. But I do understand, and I'm not making light of the journey at all, because right now, you know, a lot of us are not in your in your higher self. So you're in your lower self, and this is your reality. It's all around you. But I just want to remind you of your higher self, so that you remember the sun, so that you remember that brighter world from which you fell. But I just wanted to remind you of why you're not a victim. Okay. This is something that I need you guys to meditate on, because it was very hard for me. Okay. It was very hard for me to even be able to see what the hell that my spirits were telling me. What do you mean it was my choice? And what do you mean, you know what I'm saying, that I my expectations aren't right? Ain't no way. It took a long time, so it's not going to be something you see right off. But you know it's true. You know at the very core there is nothing that can come into your world unless there's something in you that resonates along with it. Your frequency. You know, your frequency, you attract that which you are. And so do not be as the narcissist is, and do not deny that thing within you that the narcissist is always looking to trigger, to remind you that you are not completely in your higher self. You're not completely healed yet, because if you were, you would not be able to be triggered. Okay. You would not be able to be upset in that way. What is it in you that lower vibrating entity is able to touch, to pull into his world with him? You must acknowledge that, because that is the thing that needs to be renewed. That's the thing that needs to be acknowledged, brought to the surface, and released. It's not going to happen tonight, y'all, because it's something that you are absolutely in denial of. And when you, as you're searching your mind to find this thing, I want you to also understand that, you know, because it's going to be hard. You're going to be like, because, you know, I know what it's going to feel like. You're going to feel like that's not possible, that I wasn't right about, you know, how people are supposed to treat me. And it's not right that, you know, I wasn't really expecting much from them. I just, you know, but maybe you haven't even considered that the things that you were expecting came from a premise in you that may have not been correct, that needed to be corrected. You have to consider those things, because if you can't consider that you might possibly be wrong, there might be something in you that needs to be corrected. You're just like the narcissist. But if you are willing to honestly evaluate yourself, to re-examine yourself and your own expectations of other people, your own the role that you have played in making the choices and decisions that landed you in the place where the devil incarnate was right on the road right next to you. Okay, if you're ready to do that, and you delve into the experience of actually trying to examine yourself and trying to pinpoint what it is, and you realize how hard it is, that you really can't see it. Understand that that is the experience that the narc has. They really cannot see it. They really cannot. And I'm not at all telling you to empathize with them. Not at all. I'm not telling you to forgive them for that. You know, I'm not telling you to excuse anything that they've done, but I'm telling you to understand that this is how their mind, this is how clouded their mind is about who and what they are. And if you do not pinpoint the thing in you that they are able to trigger, because that is what they resonate with, and that is something that's in you. And if you do not pinpoint that, you are becoming as they are. You have to be willing to look in a clean mirror and honestly evaluate the self. They could not come close to you. They would not be able to trigger you. They would not be able to push your buttons if there was not some part of you that resonates with them. So just as they can't fix what they won't face, you can't fix what you won't face. So I'm going to leave you guys with that, because I want y'all to ponder this throughout the night and for the rest of the week until you come to a revelation, because I promise you that you will. Even if you don't come to the answer, you will understand what the mind of a narcissist feels like when someone is asking them to evaluate their own actions. Because whatever it is that's in you that you refuse to acknowledge, that resonates also with that narc. That's the thing, that once you release it, you're no longer being weighed down. You're no longer in their world. They're no longer able to touch you. You cannot deny that thing. Okay? And we're going to talk about it in the group. I was going to say more, but like I said, I'm going to save this for the private group. But I want to leave y'all with this on your mind. You know, going into this, we're not the group that sits around crying about what we've been through and what they've done to us. Because a lot of times, you know, especially if it's been in a relationship and as an adult, you know, there's been so many times you've gone back and you've gone back, and so every time, or you let them come back, and these are your choices. And this, again, this is not about judgment right now, and we're going to get out of a space of judgment. We're going to get out of I don't want you to look through at this through your pain. I want you to look at this with the express goal of feeling better, because you're going to feel better once you realize that the power to change your world and your experiences and your emotional landscape is in your own hands. It was in your hands to walk down this road where you met the devil. Your own life and your decisions, your movements, they're all in your hands. Okay, and I know it doesn't seem, you know, but you don't know what I'm gonna go through if I make these decisions. Decisions don't have to, you can make a decision, but you don't have to take the action immediately. You know, we're going to make smart decisions from a different premise. You don't want to make a decision from your lower self. So what you want to do is work on shifting your perspective. And that's going to begin with pinpointing what is it within yourself that still has not been released. What is it within yourself that still has not been fully examined? that has not been healed? What is it within yourself? What pain, what trauma in your life have you not allowed to rise to the surface and be released from yourself? Because that is what that demon inside the narcissist is pinpointing within you, and that's what they're using to trigger you. Keep hearing that empaths play a role. Empaths are the martyrs who love from voted. Yes, Rose Little, you are absolutely correct. It is mostly empaths. This is why I'm taking the group private, because of, because of empaths. I want empaths to remember who you are and to remember what your purpose is here. It's very sacred. It's very divine. Okay. And it is about the empaths, and the empaths have to be empowered. Okay. And stop seeing through the perception of the lower self and as a victim. If you stay in your lower self, you're going to see yourself as a victim. Okay. The more you rise through the ranks of the spiritual realms, and you ascend into your higher self, you allow your mind to be renewed. And it's not easy. This takes work. This is the work that y'all say that you wanted to do in order to get yourselves better. It's not just praying to some power outside of yourself to zap you better. It doesn't work like that. You are being provided with the tools that you need in order to make yourself better. This is how you are empowered. If your higher self, if your God came and said, boom, here's some magic dust and you're better, that does not empower you. That means that your God is outside of yourself and you need that forever in order to get better. And I'm telling you that your God is within. And so whatever action is going to be taken in order to better yourself, it's going to come through you as you, so that you are empowered. Okay? So we're not putting our power outside of ourselves. We're going to go within, so that you learn and understand how powerful you are. This is why you were chosen for this task. And it is a task, you guys. It is a mission. It is a purpose for what you have done and what you've been through. There is the most. I'm going to come back. This is what I'm going to do. My next video that I'm going to do on YouTube, we're going to talk about one of the 7 hermetic principles that I teach in the Badass Magic classes on my Badass Witch Exclusive and Oshun Ajay Exclusive. The Badass Magic classes are in there. I'm going to talk about the laws of rhythm, the law of rhythm and the law of polarity, and how we're going to apply those laws. And I'm going to use those laws to point out to you what is exactly happening here between empaths and narcissists. Okay. But I want you to ponder tonight how you have played a major role in landing yourself on this road, in the field that you took. On some level, it was a choice. Okay. And I'm not just talking about the choices to keep taking them back. That it was a choice on a soul level, and then it has been manifesting itself, okay, in this 3D realm. And so I want you to think about it, because I know y'all are some deep thinkers. You have to be, in order to be here. Okay. And I know that if you're going through what you're going through, you were chosen for that, for a very sacred purpose. And I know you want more than anything to understand what that purpose is. And it's not going to be spoon fed to you, but it's going to be unraveled through you allowing your mind to be renewed. Okay. So you have to examine this within your mind, examine yourself and your own choices and your own decisions. Examine what's very rigid within you that may need to be changed. Examine the things that you have no doubt in you that, is the way that it should be, the way that it is. Because sometimes it's just not. There's things to understand. And please don't hear me as ever saying to to, I don't know what word I want to use, but you know, I'm not saying at all to not hold the narcissist accountable for their actions and fully accountable. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. But what I'm saying is to acknowledge your power in the situation and the ways in which you have misused your powers in order to land yourself where the narcissist is. And I need you to do this without judgment of the self, because it's not about judgment. It's about being unaware and now being aware. It's about realizing that you were sleeping before so that you can wake up. Okay. So it's about remembering who you are. It's about remembering what you have the power to do. See, all of this can fade away like a dream, like a bad dream that you had a long time ago, because on some level it has already faded away. All you need to do is learn to resonate with your higher self, who already sees it from that perspective. Healing seems hard, and it seems like you know, it's gonna take a long time and we're gonna be crying. It's not. No, 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 no. Not here. Okay. We will be enjoying the journey, because as we're walking down these crystal brick roads, we will be throwing away all this baggage and all the masks. Some of us are wearing masks because you had to in order to conform to the expectations of your narc. We're going to be throwing those off. We're going to be throwing off these costumes and masks and all this heavy baggage. So it's going to be an enjoyable journey. I'm going to enjoy meeting the real you. And I'm going to make sure you enjoy remembering the real you. Because when we come back out to face the world, you have a mission that you will now be fully aware of and fully empowered to do and fulfill. This is what we're doing here. Let me read some of your comments, guys, before I go, but I do want you guys to ponder, because we're going to talk about it more in the group, to re-examine your own choices and decisions. Okay, I want you to examine your expectations of other people, and I need you to go deeper than, you know, the way that you were raised. Because who says that, you know, that your parents were right? Who says that their parents were right? Sometimes it's time to allow some of these rigid constructs to bend and to dissolve, and for us to really see the truth of things, because our own expectations of other people is what causes our deepest pains. And not saying at all that you should not expect to be respected and to have reciprocity in your relationships. So don't ever hear me as saying that. But there's something more that we need to examine. So I just want you to sit still with it and try again without judgment, because it's not about judgment. Not here. It's about an honest self-evaluation with the express intent of shifting your perspective from that of your lower self to that of your highest self. At the end of the day, within you, the thing that the narc is able to trigger, there's some expectation that you have within you that is not in alignment with your highest self. And it's keeping you from ascending. This requires an honest self-evaluation. And it's not going to happen tonight, you guys, but I do hope that you do go into your slumber with this on your mind. I do hope that you continue to examine the self until you do have an aha moment. And I do hope that you guys share with us in the group. We will revisit the subject. I invite you all who have not joined to join us in the No Narc Network. I thank you all for coming. Thank to the people who are already in the group. I encourage you to send in your videos, your stories, to reach out to me. Angela, please email me when I get off of here. And again, you guys, keep the thought on your mind. There definitely is something within you that's not aligning with the most high within yourself, with your higher self. So your homework is to look for that thing. What is it? What is that is within you that you have not allowed to rise to the surface and be released? Because this is what that demonic entity, the narc demon, is using each and every time to trigger you. So we will revisit the subject, you guys. Keep it on your minds. I'm sending high vibrating energy to each and every one of you. Thank you for sharing this time and space with me. And until we meet again, my people, keep it classy, keep it clean, and do what you got to do to make shit happen. Peace.